Hi everyone, this is the first development diary for our new game Fire and Maneuver. This video will act more as an introduction to what our game's about and the developers working on it. We've got a very talented team of artists, sound designers, animators, and programmers who I'm very excited to introduce you to. Every week, a different developer will make a video about what they're working on. Aaron, our lead developer, will discuss game mechanics and systems, Sebastian will discuss new visual elements added to the game, and Gio will discuss AI and the terrain system. If you have any questions for any of them, feel free to leave comments on this video and in their upcoming videos. We're happy to answer even the more technical questions. As for my role, I'll be talking about the overall game direction each month, touching on the less technical aspects of development and giving more of an overview. So let's get started. Last month, you guys saw a small tutorial for Fire and Maneuver Pre-Alpha version 1.0. At this point, we are still in the pre-alpha stage, but we're on version 1.3. The first thing that you may notice is that we've added a battle customization menu, which allows players to choose how many units will fight in the battle, how many orders they'll receive, if there's a turn timer, and what map they'd like to play on. This is still very early. We plan on expanding the battle customization features massively throughout this month. Something I am excited to mention that we haven't implemented just yet is a new system where players can choose their nation by selecting an animal avatar that represents each nation, like the lion for England or the bear for Russia. Sebastian will actually be talking to you next week about that very feature. Before we go into what's new, I'd like to give a few shoutouts to various team members. The unit card artwork, which you can see on screen, is done by our artist Nico, while the sprites, of which there are thousands, were completed by our artists Celia, Maria, Paco, Nico again, and Tommy. Rune is working on loading screens right now, and Sotiris designed all of the UI in the game. Along with several bug fixes, we've added a new unit type to the game called the Guard, which has extra cohesion and damage. We've also made a few visual improvements, but don't worry, all of the textures are placeholders, so this very obviously repeating grass texture will not be in the final game, of course. We've also added an expandable UI above all of the units, which tells the player how much cohesion and health the unit has, and if it has any perks. We're going to discuss what perks do to a unit in a future video. The last major change we've made has been replacing the look of the tile highlights and arrows, but these are actually still placeholders as well. Now I'd like to show you guys some previews of music made by our composer, Jacob, that will be featured in the game. Every nation is being given unique music that will play in battle. Here are some of those tracks. The last thing I'd like to show you guys today is kind of a timeline of the rest of this month, what kind of updates we've got planned, and what those updates are going to be called. So in this weekend's update, 1.4, titled Melee and Damage Display, we are updating the game to finally allow players to select which nation they'll be playing as in battles. We're going to add some visual improvements, like the replacement of the green ring when you select units, and we've also worked on the perk system, as well as a saving and loading feature, a range mechanic wherein units can fire more than one tile away depending on the weapon that they're using, and we're working on completely redoing how the tiles look and function in our game. Gio will be talking more about terrain at the end of this month, and maybe showing off a map editor if we finish that in time. I can't share the exact things coming in the rest of the updates out this month, but I will share the names of the updates and who will be making the development diaries for each of them. So this week's update is 1.4, and it was titled Melee and Damage Display. Part of this week's update was fixing bugs regarding melee combat, which we can get into in a later development diary going into how melees function in the game. And of course, damage display. Right now we're working on having it so when you hover over an enemy unit, it'll give you a preview of how much damage you're doing. Kind of like in the game Civilization, when you go to make an attack, it gives you a preview beforehand. Next week's update is 1.5, titled Nations, and that'll be presented by Sebastian. The week after is update 1.6, titled Battle Customization, and that'll be presented by Aaron. And the final update, 1.7, titled Tweaks and Polish, will be presented by Gio. That's all for now, but if you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments below, and either myself or one of my developers will get back to you. If you'd like to get permanent access to the game now, head over to our Patreon page. Those who pledge $10 right now can get a Steam key, and those who pledge $3 will get their Steam key on the 31st of October. These Steam keys do not expire, but they're very, very early, so you're just going to be able to follow basically these development diaries and check in on the game every week, and you're going to keep that key even if you stop supporting us. That's totally fine. Alright, that's it for now, guys. I'll see you in the next one.